I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Hey everybody, welcome to Oops the Podcast. I am Giulio Gallerati. I'm joined by Francis Ellis. Francis, how are you?
Swell.
It's good. You're a good man. Good to see you.
Didn't give you
I'm
much
so
to work
afraid.
with.
I'm so afraid that I'm gonna walk into a corner that I can't get out of with the intro. That I'm trying to be like as concise as possible. But that was an example of how being too concise can actually hurt you.
Yeah, you know, intros are like sex. It's tricky and weird to get into it, but then once we're in, baby,
We're in.
We're in. Yeah, we're in.
Well, dude, I went to a funeral the other day, as many of you know who listened to the Tom Segura episode, which I unfortunately wasn't able to join. And we went to the burial service, and the guy at the cemetery said the most comforting thing I've ever heard at a funeral. He turns to us and he goes, "I want you to know that I will pray for your loved one every day. Every single day. I have mass in this cemetery and I pray for everyone. And he will never be forgotten." And I was like, That is so nice.
That is nice.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, and it's also, I don't know if I believe him.
But I felt that it was very comforting. And I get that the mass happens to be for every single person in the cemetery, which is 10,000 people or whatever. It's a big cemetery. Right. But that felt like it was very nice.
Yes. There's a big difference, though, between one guy standing in the middle of a big cemetery and being like, "I'm thinking about all of you," and then the family of the deceased showing up, kneeling at the foot of the grave, placing fresh flowers down, letting their tears soak through the soil into the bones of the cadaver.
That's very, very graphic, but very nice as well.
Yes, it started sweet and it got graphic.
Well, dude, so this is the first, I couldn't believe that a funeral was allowed to happen. I mean, things in New York are really progressing nicely to the point where some gatherings are possible, whatever. And I had kind of thought preemptively that when we got to gather again, it would be nice because no one would have to handshake. And it would kind of take away the anxiety of do I hug? Do I shake hands? Do I do this? Do I do that? But it's actually much worse now because people are still hugging and shaking hands.
Right.
Even though maybe they're not supposed to be. And then it has added 2 or 3 options to an already endless list of options.
Right. Yeah. It's a game of rock, paper, scissors, shoot every time you greet somebody. And unfortunately, you're trying to tie every time.
Right.
And nobody can tie. And I find that somebody who approaches me whom I don't know with an open hand for a handshake, I find that aggressive now.
Yeah, definitely.
Because then I have to be the asshole who says, "Well, I'm not comfortable touching the inside of your palm. And let's do this instead." And then sometimes they kind of think, well, it's the politicization of it all, where they're like, "Oh, you're one of those people who thinks that this is a problem, you pussy."
Right. And it's just unpleasant, even if that person's an asshole.
But you're in Colorado now.
Now I'm in Colorado.
You're on the Shirtless Tour 2020.
I am. So do you want to hear about my trip?
I do, more than anything.
Okay. So oddly enough and hilariously enough, I just assumed that there was going to be a pool here. We talked about this yesterday. There is not one. So I haven't really had to be shirtless. I've just had to look acceptable in a t-shirt, which I feel that I do.
Yes.
I feel that I look acceptable. So that's good.
You posted a photo on your Instagram or maybe your girlfriend did.
My girlfriend
did. You looked great. You looked
great.
Thank you.
That's very nice. I appreciate
Socks
that.
were so high. I don't even know.
I know
why they were so high.
I know. I felt actually really self-conscious about that afterwards. I was like, this is too much. I shouldn't have pulled them as hard. But then I'm serious. I was thinking that. I was like, I look like a fuck weeb. But dude, then this morning I saw my friend sent me a link to like a new Nike short. And the model, it was from the waist down, had the shoes and socks the exact same way with the shorts, which led me to believe that, in fact, maybe I'm more with it than I had originally thought.
You know, I really trust you in terms of what's cool. And I think that you have that sort of LA, Venice Beach vibe down pretty well. But it's amazing how much sock style has evolved and changed over the years. When I was in high school, we used to wear we wore socks right under the calf. You know, right where the calf would start, you would wear it up to that point. And it was just us being lacrosse douchebags. It was the lax bro
Uniform.
outfit.
Yeah, social outfit.
And then I was like, after a few years, I thought, oh God, this is so sad. And what a thin performance I'm putting on with my socks, you know? and then you, I don't know, then you go to kind of no socks and loafers for a while. And then you just sort of settle in. And now I kind of just wear whatever's clean and comfortable with nice sneakers or something. But you are going above the calf.
I feel that the long sock with the short sock, I feel self-conscious. I feel like I look like a dreidel. I feel like it makes me look fat. Like it makes me look, I'm not even joking. So the higher sock, I feel more confident with a higher sock. It doesn't need to be as high as it was in that picture. And quite frankly, I fought against that picture.
Yeah, it's nearly a stocking at that point.
Yeah, I'll share the post, I guess, on my story. It's going to be too late by the time this episode comes out. I think my girlfriend's Insta is private too. But I mean, I'm just wearing long socks. It's nothing too exciting.
Yeah, they're long and they're super straight.
Taut.
There's no fold or break in the sock.
Right.
It's I don't know. It's
Dude, you're right.
You were really
You're right.
worried about them slipping down, and yeah.
You were right about that. So I have this thing about traveling with my outfits that I think is worthwhile. So I like my outfits to be usable for everything. So that outfit in that picture, I'm wearing a black t-shirt, black shorts, high socks, and I'm wearing Vans, but I have a pair of athletic sneakers as well. So this is how I pack, because that outfit, I can spin it, I can work out in it, I can go to dinner in it, I can literally do everything in it. So I try to do that so that I can pack, because I'm going to tell you about the rest of my trip. I'm going through many different climates and environments. So I want to be as, nimble as possible and not have to pack too much shit.
Right. So you pack for versatility, which is great.
I had to.
Yeah, and it lends itself to packing light, which is such an important convenience when traveling to multiple places.
Yes.
I will say a great source of contention between my girlfriend and me is that when we go on trips together, she overpacks, and then I end up carrying her bag in addition to my tiny little satchel that I've got for myself up and down subway stairs or train platforms, onto airplanes, whatever it may be. God forbid we take a flight somewhere where I don't have to check a bag and she does, and then we have to wait for her bag. Oh my God. It just makes me think, who am I it's not like, am I with Paris Hilton? Am I with one of the Kardashians?
In that situation, do you check your carry-on? I do.
No.
I do.
Because you're still running the risk of it being lost.
But where are you going, though? It depends where you're going, dude. If it's a direct flight, they're not going to lose it.
I don't know about that, Giulio.
I heard that they do.
I've lost bags. I've had bags, not, and then they get them back to you after a day or two.
That's good.
Which, by the way, one time I flew to New York and they lost my bag, and they said, they're so casual about losing bags because they seem to know that they're going to find it and they're going to get it to you.
Right.
They have complete confidence in that.
Which is good. That makes me feel better.
And it's amazing that in this labyrinth of bringing bags to and from the terminal, across the tarmac, thrown on top of one of those buses that looks like a centipede, to to getting it into the body of the plane, and then on the other side disembarking the whole luggage, all that the bags don't get lost more often. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And with all of that, if they do lose it, they'll find it somehow. They'll get it to you.
Right.
And with this
Incredible.
particular instance, I went to the whole, the little office, and I was like, the bag's not on the thing. It's gone. And they said, yep, okay, what's your info? Give it to us. We'll let you know. Go home. So I went into an Uber, and I'm not kidding you, Giulio. This was when I was living in Brooklyn.
Mhm.
At 2 a.m. that night, my doorbell rang.
Whoa.
And a guy who was driving a windowless, unmarked van pulled up. He was at my stoop, and he was like, I got your bag. Sign here. And I was like, what the fuck? Where did this guy come from? In the middle of the night.
That's crazy.
I'll never forget it. He woke me up from a dead sleep and had my bag. He wasn't driving a car that said United Airlines. He didn't have a uniform on. This was just a guy.
Dude, hilarious.
So
So much for business hours.
I know.
What the fuck? 2 a.m.? Dude, that's crazy.
So what is this trip you're on this time?
Okay, so this is the trip. So essentially, obviously my girlfriend and I were supposed to go to Greece. We weren't able to do that. So her friend invited us to come stay with their family in Colorado for a few days. So we're staying here for 4 days. It's been incredible. Her family's treating us great. They're like taking us out to meals. Like it's been it's crazy. I've never really experienced a situation like that where like the parents are taking care of everything. I'm a man. Like,
Right.
I don't need to be taken care of, but like I obviously appreciate it's so nice.
It's nice
So-
to be taken care of.
Very nice. So here for 4 days, then we are driving to LA. So we're doing like another little mini road trip. We're making cool stops along the way, through Utah, Arizona, down to LA. And then I'm going to Alaska.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm going, and I think I maybe mentioned this, but I'm going to the northernmost inhabited place, I think, in the world. So it's going to be 35 degrees there. So I have a winter jacket in my carry-on.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I'm doing all the Alaska shit, dude. It's going to be crazy. Like flying onto a glacier, all this bullshit. So I'm very much looking forward to it, but it's, and it's sort of like quenching my thirst for being able to do shit during all this,
Is your girlfriend coming to Alaska with you?
No.
Got it.
And going to Alaska is a little bit of a pain in the ass. Like you have to arrive with a negative COVID test that had been taken in the last 72 hours. And if you don't, you have to take one at the Alaska airport for $250 and quarantine in the airport till they get you the results, which could take a couple days.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So
Crazy, right?
you're going to get it done in LA before you
Day
head
before.
to Alaska?
Yep.
Wow. Holy shit.
Dude,
I've
and
always-
a friend of sorry, go ahead.
Well, I've always wanted to go to Alaska.
Yeah.
I know it's just this place of natural beauty and I guess tribes of people.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know much about it either. I mean, it's going to be very interesting and fun.
Did you watch Grizzly Man?
I did. Yes.
That movie is great until it's not.
Till about halfway in. But dude, I'll say this, like every great documentary I find, the finished product is not what they set out to do.
Yeah.
Searching for Sugar Man's another good one. That one, Icarus.
The
These
Russian
are all.
bicycling one is
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
But dude, Grizzly Man's crazy.
Well, because I couldn't help myself. I Googled the audio tape of him being eaten alive.
So give us a backstory on this first, because so people know who haven't seen it.
If you haven't seen Grizzly Man, it is a very good documentary. It's insane. I mean, it's this
insane.
guy who basically thinks he's a bear or is a friend of the bears.
And
And
is.
he's a conservationist, but with the sensibilities of a young child. So he thinks that animals are humans' friends and that he can kind of communicate with animals. And he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Like he goes to Alaska, lives off the grid, is camping out every night, and a fox becomes his cat, basically. A fucking fox. And then he goes swimming in the rivers with these grizzly bears.
He's
and
rolling around with them, wrestling
he-
with them.
He really does kind of ingratiate himself to these bears. And then, of course, maybe I'm giving the movie away by saying this, but
It's
he
so
gets
well known that
he gets eaten by a bear.
halfway through the movie, he gets eaten by the bears.
Yeah, he gets eaten by a fucking bear. And it's like, well, saw that coming. And there's audio tape
Oh
of
my god!
him being eaten. And they don't air it in the movie, but they have a scene of, I think it's Werner Herzog made the movie. I think. Yeah, it's him. And then he plays the audio tape, or he gets to hear it. And they show him listening to it. And he's like, this is the most horrific thing I've ever heard. And so I couldn't help myself. And somehow I found it online.
Wow! Can you send it to me?
I listened to it, and it is so bad. It is so haunting. It's so haunting.
You gotta
And,
send me that.
he's screaming, and he's like beating the bear with a pot. So it's clanging off
Oh my
the
God.
bear's fore. I mean, it's really graphic and horrific. But that is always my enduring image of Alaska now, is grizzly man and then him being eaten by a grizzly.
So you know what's funny about that? Every time I have this discussion, and I'm like, dude, obviously he was going to get eaten. There's always a person who's like, it was his wife who brought the snacks his wife brought food. It wasn't his fault.
His girlfriend. Yeah. They both got eaten. They both got eaten. And I had forgotten that piece of information, but that's a pretty sad thing to place the blame on her.
It's fucked up, man.
Yeah. But I mean,
Man,
it's awesome. It's awesome that you're going there.
it's gonna be sick. I'm excited.
Have you, I know that when you did your trip through the continental United States, I guess, because Alaska is not part of the continental United States.
I guess technically not, no, because it doesn't connect technically.
Right. So when you did your trip through the Midwest and whatnot, you were flying by the seat of your pants a little bit.
Very much.
But with Alaska, I would think you have to be a bit more predetermined.
It's very booked out. Like
Good.
every day has an itinerary. And I have a friend coming who was like sort of on the fence, and I was like, dude, I will book everything and I'll pay for everything up front. You can pay me back. Because like I don't want to do it alone. Like it would just be this guy's my friend Andy. He's a funny guy. It'll be funny to do with him. He seemed like kind of enthusiastic about it. So we're going, and yeah, I have a pretty strict itinerary that's much different than, and I kind of did too when I was driving around, but that was definitely more flexible than this.
Good. I'm glad to hear that you've got it planned a bit, because Alaska is a wilderness, and I wouldn't want you really falling off the grid there.
So, dude, this is the thing. Like, a lot of the national parks, you can't really get to them, like, because the roads are not that good, and you're not allowed to take the rentals on the dirt roads. And you're like, oh, well, why can't I take a rental on the dirt road? But these dirt roads have like spikes and fucking like. I was reading about it. Like, people are known to get like 3 or 4 flat tires on one day of driving.
Wow. Yeah.
Which, like, fuck that.
Totally. Felled trees and potholes the size of I don't know, just massive. It's all logging roads and shit, right?
Yeah.
It's back
totally.
country. So
Back country. It's gonna be
awesome.
Good.
Well,
So, dude,
keep going.
I don't know if you have more to say about that. Do you have more Alaska stuff?
No.
Okay. So, for Chris actually has a wonderful gift for you. Chris,
Me?
if you want to hop in here,
Oh, I got to bring up the gift you gave me too.
which is gift giving.
You guys are the most thoughtful people.
Chris, hit us.
hi,
So
Chris.
you don't really like the modern day rap music.
No, I
and
don't.
You can't really work out to it. So I made you a playlist.
Yes! Yeah! Game.
What's it called again,
baby.
Chris? What's it called?
It's called I'm gonna post it on like the Instagram and stuff. It's called Francis's new rap playlist. New rap workout.
But it's of new rap.
Yeah, it's for songs you listen to while you work out.
I'm
That we
so
think
glad.
maybe you like. Yeah, Chris, make sure you post it with
Yeah.
all the tracks.
Dude, I really appreciate that. That is such a good gift for somebody.
It really is.
I'm somebody who with a workout playlist, I beat them to death. Like I work out to one workout playlist for months and months and months, and eventually I don't even hear the music anymore. But
Right.
that kind of ingrained rhythm and knowing which track comes next, I can help
Interesting.
align it with where I'm at in my workout.
Interesting.
And instead of like looking at a clock, I know, okay, I'm on pace. I'm almost up. I'm done. You know,
I'm on Who Let the Dogs Out.
dude,
I got
no
two more
joke.
sets to go.
Yeah. The workout that I used for, I think it was like Fran's best hip hop playlist or something I had on Spotify for a long time, would start with J. Cole's No Role Models.
Oh, that's a good one. Don't save her.
Yeah. Or it was that one, or it was like, I'm gonna count me out. The count of it.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
That one is really good. And I would start my workouts on the treadmill, and I would always run a mile as fast as I basically could as my warm up, which, by the way, I do not recommend. It's not a good way to work out, but I would just do it. And by the second or third chorus, like I knew, okay, now I'm almost done. And by tracking it along with the music, I got to the point where it made it easier to get through the workout.
It's like some kind of muscle memory.
Yeah, but I'm so sick of this fucking workout playlist, and it's, so I'm really excited. Thank you, Chris. That's a very kind thing to do. It's like when you would give, your high school girlfriend a playlist or a mixtape on Valentine's Day because you didn't want to spend money.
Yeah, sweat equity.
Yeah. That's
it.
great.
Actually, right now it's like an hour 45. Do you work out longer than that usually, or?
God, no. What are you
Okay,
trying to
good.
kill
I'm
me,
just
dude?
making sure.
Hour 45?
Just making sure you got enough.
No, that's cool. I can do like, the first half and then one day and then the second half, and there'll be variety. That's good. That's great. Hey, the other gift that Giulio sent me, and this is classic Giulio. I mean, this is exactly who we all know Giulio to be. You may recall from a few episodes back that Giulio was talking about wanting to visit all of the United States. And I made some wisecrack about how my United States quarter collection was almost complete. And maybe we could compete if I could fill my quarter board before he saw all the states. And he asked me which quarters I was missing. And I very offhandedly said North Dakota and Hawaii. And a couple days later, two packages arrived at my house, at our house in Maine, and it was those two quarters. And not only those two quarters, but they arrived from like coin vendors off of independent sellers of like vintage and hard to find coins on Amazon in these little collector's sleeves to protect them.
Oh, no way.
Dude,
That's
these
sick.
quarters were untouched. They
That's
had been buffed and spiffed and spit shined, and they were so pure. And so now I have all the quarters. And I fished out the quarter board, which was in the top bookshelf of my childhood bedroom. And there they were, the empty slots, because I had given up on it. And I plugged them in and was kind of expecting some kind of like wormhole to open or portal. Or maybe a genie to appear, and nothing happened.
Yeah. Be able to go back to 1973 Vinden.
Yeah, exactly. 1986.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we are halfway through the season 1 finale of Dark last night, which
nice.
is the hardest show to follow. And there
Yeah.
is so many strings are coming together. So many resolutions are being found that you feel your world clicking into place. And my girlfriend falls asleep.
Ooh.
And she's like, can we stop? I'm asleep. And we have a rule that if one of us is really tired and falls asleep, like we're going to cut the cord on TV for that night, because nobody wants to be forcing themselves to stay awake just to watch TV. And we stopped it. But through the fucking season finale,
Oh, that's tough.
It was brutal.
That's tough. That happens to me too, dude. Like I'll push it, and then I'll get to the season finale by like 5 a.m, and I like struggle through it and don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it's good that you at least stopped early.
Yeah. I'm excited to get more answers tonight. But the point is, thank you for those quarters, and you are a man of acts of kindness, acts of service, right? You hear about the love languages? You know about those things?
No. Maybe. Yeah, like contact, and I've heard a little bit about it.
Yeah, physical touch,
Physical contact,
words
yeah.
of affirmation. It's just a thing that, fucking women came up with to
Make us better boyfriends.
sell stuff. I don't know. Books, or have conversation on podcasts, I feel like. But, there is some truth to it, which is that, like, I guess everything you do, words of affirmation, acts of service, physical touch, gifts, I think is one of them.
Yeah.
Giving gifts to people. So I think giving gifts, you are somebody who's very good at giving gifts. You do these things and you follow through on them. And it requires legwork. I mean, you had to DM my girlfriend to get our home address here. And then you bought these 2 separate coins on Amazon and you sent them with a note. And it means something. It tells the recipient, this person is thinking about me. This person cares about me. And not only that, but you had listened so intently to a 10-second exchange that we had on the podcast. And we've had hundreds of hours of conversations at this
it's crazy,
point.
Right?
Yeah. And it really, I was like, wow, this guy's the real fucking deal. It was great. Thank you.
Dude, I love being referred to as the real deal. Feels very good. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
And it made me realize I need to do better, I need to do
what are you
better.
talking about? Absolutely not. That's
Well,
not how it works.
Here's an example. When I went out and played golf in the Hamptons this summer,
Mhm.
I was treated to the round at this very fancy place by a guy I knew. And then afterwards, I asked him if I could, send him some money. He wouldn't let me. And I then asked him for his home address because I wanted to send him a little something. And my intention was maybe to send a bottle of wine or at the very least a handwritten note. And he sent me his home address. And this was like 2 months ago. And I still haven't sent him a fucking note. And I think about it all the time. And I just cannot get myself to some weird gift shop in Maine that'll sell me a lighthouse postcard that I can then write it and then put the stamp on and send to him.
Who was the guy? Was this Shinnecock?
No, this one was this was Sabonic, but it was
Okay.
the other rounds were all kind of an extension of that connection.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, dude, Hamptons, this is an interesting thing that I realized the other day. I went on a boat, and this boat was $1 million. Okay? It was $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And for $1 million, dude, I expected this thing to be way bigger and like way nicer.
Boats are
Insane.
ridiculously expensive.
Which makes me think it's not even fucking worth it. I don't want to own a boat if $1 million only gets me that.
Okay, so tell us about the boat. Okay, tell us about the boat.
Okay, so it has 4 engines on it or whatever, propeller things, whatever those things are called. It's nice. It's really nice. Like it's fast.
I mean, how long is it? Is there an indoor cabin? Is there a bathroom?
So there's a pretty nice indoor cabin. It's pretty nifty and high tech. There's all these like gadgets. A grill pops out of it.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Well, then now you're really fucking talking. Yeah.
All right.
You're
So this is
talking
cool.
Exhibit Pimp My Boat.
And exactly. Yes. This is Pimp My Boat. And dude, like in the front, there are these seats that you can like sit on. They kind of make you feel like you're flying through the water and like all great things. Really great. But dude, $1 million. That's a lifetime of family vacations. You can buy you and your family vacations and then some for your whole life. And I'm talking lavish vacations multiple times a year. Like, what's the point? You need to have the boat. And like, these are my very good friends, like people that I live with, essentially. Like they have this fancy ass fucking boat and they need like a captain to drive it for them too. Cause it's new and they don't know how to do it. So they hire a guy to drive the boat. They can't even drive it themselves. Like, how much money do you have to make that a purchase that makes sense? To me, I'd have to be so wealthy to be able to be doing that.
Right. Okay, so lots to tackle here. That's my trademark phrase.
Trademark.
Lots to unpack here.
Lots to unpack.
Here's the thing. You can't quantify or commodify happiness, joy.
Yeah, true.
You can't put a price tag on it. And what I mean by that is you said $1 million is a lifetime of family vacations. And that reflects how much you love to travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's when you think of $1 million, the fact that your mind immediately goes to how many family vacations you could take with your children and your wife or whatever, that's a wonderful thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a different family might derive equal joy from having that boat and not going on family vacations.
Right.
So this
Going
is
out on the water.
not taking into account the fact that they just have enough money that they can do both. Clearly, that a boat is a blip on their radar financially. You'd have to say that let's say that two families of the same amount of money, one family might get just as much happiness from that boat as another family might from going twice a year on sick vacations.
Right. Fair points.
Yeah, we can't really say that. Now, if it were me, right? There's a big difference between like a yacht that you can comfortably sleep on, and I'm not talking like Roman Abramovich yacht. I'm talking a yacht that has like a sick bedroom in it where you're not climbing into the bed and the ceiling is 2 feet above your head. You're not in like a fucking bunk.
Yes. Like
you almost don't know that you're on a boat.
Yes.
When you're inside, right?
Yes.
That level of a boat, that is sick.
And that's got to be $10 million.
At least.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then that versus, the boat we have, which might have been like, I don't know, I'm going to sound like an asshole here. It might have been like $60,000.
Right.
Which was really expensive for,
expensive.
Our family, but was a huge step up from the boat that we had my whole life, which we bought off of my grandmother when I was 5 years old for $6,000.
Wow.
And was one of my favorite things in my life.
Right.
Had a 100 horsepower single motor, could comfortably seat, like you could bring 6 people on the boat if you wanted to squeeze a little
Pretty
bit.
Good.
But it didn't have like couches. It didn't have any real comfortable seats. It had a seat for the driver, a seat for the passenger, and then in the front you could seat like 2 people on either side.
Yeah.
Whereas the new boat, has like built-in speakers, and there's a depth chart, and there's a little bit more automation, and there's actually a little tiny bathroom, just a single-use thing that you can duck into if you really need to. And it's such an upgrade for us.
Yeah.
But my point would be, unless I were able to go from the boat we currently have to one of those yachts,
right, you wouldn't upgrade.
The middle tiers are
not worth it.
Pointless.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Now, there are some exceptions. If you love sailing, right? A $200,000 or $500,000 sailboat, that's a very different experience.
What about a fishing boat?
Fishing, exactly. If you're an avid fisherman and you need to go miles off the coast and you need all of that gear and equipment and stuff, then you're talking about different costs. But for day boating, which is what it sounds like your friends are doing, I can't justify spending $1 million on that.
Agreed. Dude, 100%. Also, I thought you just said gay boating, and I was like, that sounds fucking awesome.
Does sound fun.
Some gay boating.
Sounds like the sort of thing where you do not need to wear pants.
And also sounds like the type of thing where I might be shunned for taking my shirt off. I need 3 more weeks in the gym. Well, dude, I've been on a yacht one time. And, actually, that's not true. I've been on a yacht a couple times, but it was the same one. And it's so sick. I actually shot a music video on it. And if you guys feel frisky and want to dig, it's a Lil Young Big 360 virtual reality music video. And if you have an Oculus, I highly recommend watching it. It's pretty cool. Anyway, this boat was so sick. But again, I was like, this boat is amazing. But even that, I was like, it's not that amazing. Like, it was amazing. It was incredible. You could do all this stuff on a boat. But like, I couldn't even fathom how much it cost. It was like 80 feet or 100 feet or something. And like, had all this sick shit in it. But I was like, I can't imagine how much this costs. And like, I just don't get why boats cost so much. I'm sure it costs a lot to make them and all that stuff and the technology, whatever. But it's hard for me to process, especially not knowing a lot about boats.
Yeah, I really do wonder about the the markup on boats. It seems like almost it's like those when you hear about fucking Tory Burch handbags.
Yeah.
It costs like $12 to make
Right.
them, and then they sell for $1,000.
Right.
And you're like, well, if you know that, then why the fuck are you buying it?
Yeah. Why the fuck you buying it? And dude, but with the boat, it's such a luxury that it makes me wonder how much, like, does that mean you would mark it up more or does that mean you would mark it up less? Like, it's a hard thing to like.
Right. So it does make you wonder, yes, like, is this thing a floating pile of junk or or is it worth close to what I'm paying for it?
Right.
But here's the thing. I remember, like if you have a yacht and you can tell your crew, hey, sail on down to Aruba, and then we're going to take the private jet down there and meet us, and we're going to spend a week or two sailing around the Caribbean islands, St. Bart's, St. John's, and we've got a chef on board to cook us dinner, and then we can just take a little dinghy into shore to explore some local beach bars when we want. That sounds like a pretty dope vacation if you have the means.
Yeah.
Similarly, I remember that when Tiger Woods was playing in the U.S. Open at Shinnecock a few years ago when Brooks Koepka won, rather than rent some Airbnb, because there really weren't that many hotels that were available in the height of summer in Southampton, rather than do that, he just brought his $50 million yacht, parked it at a marina in Southampton, and then was a 10-minute drive to the golf course and was able to avoid traffic and all of that because of this. And that sounded very efficient to me. You know what I mean? Like that was an effective use of a yacht.
Right.
But otherwise, yachts, like anything, you're always looking at the guy who has the next tier up.
Right.
And you get your yacht with a fucking jacuzzi on the back, and then the next guy gets one with a helicopter landing pad, and all of a sudden you think your dick is small.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You got to imagine that there's some of that going on in those circles.
Yeah.
Of course.
So you're constantly being one-upped, and you can't keep up. But anyway.
Totally, dude. Yeah, I don't know. Fucking yacht life, dude. Not for me, I think, ultimately. It is cool, but yeah, I don't know.
So yachts, yes. I don't think that. I mean, that's just like if you have so much money that you can't spend it because it's invested and you're accruing from your invested money more money than you can spend in a given year, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing, and you're not that philanthropic, or you are, but even then you don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, buy a yacht, sure, but private air travel, which is, goes hand in hand with owning a yacht, is awesome.
Yeah.
The difference between private air travel and commercial air travel versus yachting,
no comparison,
and like going out in a day boat that you own. I don't know. I can't speak to it because I've never been on a yacht, never owned a yacht, but you're like, to me, if I had to choose one or the other, I would say private jet
over yacht all
life
day, dude.
So much.
All day. Let me ask you this, though, dude. I mean, I imagine that the taxes on a yacht must be crazy. The upkeep must be crazy. You have to have a crew. I feel like everybody who owns a yacht, most of those people charter it to people.
I wonder. I don't know.
Right?
I don't know the answer to that. But there's that age-old saying of, if it floats, flies, or fucks, rent it.
That is a savage saying. That's
Have
hilarious.
you heard that?
No, but that's great.
Rent, don't buy. If it floats, flies, or fucks, rent, don't buy.
That is fucking nuts, dude.
It's a good
Unbelievable.
saying. I mean, obviously it's a little probably misogynistic.
Yeah. I can imagine just a dinner table of men chuckling, wealthy men chuckling about that while with cigars in their mouths.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking women.
Yeah.
Great.
No, but I think for the planes, I mean, now you've got these timeshare services for private air travel, like the Wheels Up and the NetJets and stuff. And as expensive as they are, they're still a fraction of the price of actually owning a jet, which requires, enlisting 2 private air captains to be at your beck and call all the time, owning a hangar.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the fuel costs, all that shit. It is astronomical.
Yeah.
But the Wheels Up stuff, the NetJets, all that, that's like an Uber version of that level,
Yeah. Whipping the PJ, dude.
Be cool.
Awesome.
So, all right, I have one question for you before we get out of here.
Hit me.
And I want to, well, it's more of a topic that I want to just broach with you. So
Let's get in there.
I came to a realization recently. For most of my life, it really mattered to me that everyone like me. And it's not that now that I'm 31, well, here's what I would say. It occurred to me finally that there are just going to be people that I meet or that are in my world who aren't going to like me. And that no matter how hard I try, no matter what I do, I may not be able to change their mind. Right?
Right. And dude, if anyone can change someone's mind, it's you. You're very good at that.
Well, that's very sweet. But, I don't agree. I don't know if I agree, because there are just people who you're going to get it wrong with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe through no fault of your own. And we've talked about this before in our professional circle. There's a person that I just constantly don't get it right with. Everything I say seems to be like, the wrong thing for this person, even if clearly I didn't mean it to be that way.
Yeah.
And so they've made up their mind. And then from that point, everything you say only enforces their hatred of you. Right.
Right. And it's also an interesting thing that you've made up their mind. You've made up your mind that they've made up their mind, which is, you're probably right, but that's an interesting layer to the puzzle.
Well, you can only roll the hill up the rock up the hill so many times,
totally,
right? I mean,
totally.
the Sisyphus thing, like I'd rather cut my losses at a certain point and just say, okay, like you're going to hate me and so be it. And I'm going to try to limit my time in the same room with you. Yeah, as much as I can. So I don't want to be around people that hate me, and I'm not saying that I categorically hate every person who hates me, but it's not pleasant when you approach a circle of people and one of those people hates you and you just watch them grimace.
Totally.
So yeah, but here's what I would say. What I've learned and what I've come to think is, you don't need that many people to like you.
It's true.
You need people to like you, but you don't need that many.
Yeah, that's
which means, and I'll expand upon this. You don't need you certainly don't need everyone to like you. And it used to upset me if I knew that not everyone liked me. I was, young and sensitive and all of that. And as life grows, and especially maybe in this time, my exposure to people has gotten so much smaller, and I'm still happy. Mm-hmm. So how many friends do you need?
Dude, totally. Handful.
How many friends in life? I got to the point where I was like, I have too many friends.
Right.
And I'm not bragging when I say that. It's like you can't maintain friendships that well with a lot of people. And the older you get and the more of your focus is required for your relationship or for your parents, your family, the less time you have to spend, keeping up meaningless friendships and text message conversations with people that don't really move the needle for you.
Absolutely.
And so I think you need, like, outside of your relationship and your family, you need like 4 or 5 people that like you.
Totally.
And then everyone else,
Fuck them.
so long. Yeah,
Totally.
who cares?
Totally.
And
I think. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, you first.
If you can make peace with that and realize how few people you actually need to like you, then it's a very freeing realization.
Totally liberating. I think that 4 or 5 people that you're talking about, I think it's important that these are people that you are comfortable being your absolute self around, people you could be in the car with for 45 minutes without talking. You know what I mean? Like people who you are so comfortable around, but you really don't need more than that. Then you can just, everybody else can be acquaintances. You can hang out with some people when you want, whatever. But it's interesting that you're saying this because I agree. And this is partially why I think that it starts to become more okay as you get older. I think that, in your 20s, for me at least, I'm trying to figure out who I am, what I am, what I do. And I think by having people like me, it validates that whatever I'm on the path to being, I'm doing it right because other people like me. Therefore, I must be doing it right. Now that I'm more comfortable with myself and I understand myself a little more and I've kind of like accepted who I am to a degree, I feel less need for validation and therefore I need fewer people to give it to me in order to be happy.
Absolutely. And I think that's great. And, you don't want, if you have your 5 people who like you, let's say, your 5 people that are going to be up there with you during your wedding.
The Fab 5.
Yeah. And hopefully, their significant others also like you so that you as a couple or a unit, you can hang out and everybody gets along. It's not that the other hundreds of people are going to hate you. You shouldn't have that. But if they don't have an opinion on you or they're neutral about you, that's fine.
Totally.
It's fine to not be everyone's favorite person.
It's fine.
I don't know why. Maybe this is obvious to people.
No,
maybe
this is not. This is good. This is good stuff. I think this is going to make people feel good.
Well, it just made me realize I don't need to waste my time checking in on people or keeping up with people that I have no intention, that I'm sure I won't be in contact with in 5 years.
Right. Dude.
Who cares?
Absolutely. And it's a nice thing to try to like use and be aware of and practice because it can really free up a lot of brain space and energy.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of people float from one fleeting sort of immediate friendship to the next,
especially in entertainment, man.
Yeah. And
people,
they think those are friendships, and there's that excitement in friendships in just in the same way that there is in relationships of this is new, this is fresh, let's talk. I really like this person. And then of course you don't actually have the roots.
Yeah.
And the hardships, the shared adversity or whatever, or the time that you've spent together to lay down roots such that you can go a whole year without talking and then reconnect. And it's as if you picked up right where you left off. And that's, I just think that way of living is not fulfilling.
It's not. It's like some middle school shit. And I see it all the time in entertainment. My comedy friends who all of a sudden are best friends with somebody. They're posting pictures constantly. They're commenting on all their shit. It's so contrived. They're trying to like align themselves properly. And like it's hollow. And like it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of falling outs. And that's kind of.
A lot of falling outs.
Got to take your time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm totally with you, dude. It's so listen, if anyone's out there sweating the fact that a new friend they're not getting along with that new friend as well, just say, fuck them. And return to your Fab 5.
The Fab 5.
That was well said. Yeah.
Love it, dude. Awesome, man.
And with that, why don't you sing us out here, G?
Love it. Oops, the podcast, guys. Thanks for listening. Check out our YouTube. Send us emails, DMs, oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. Oops, the podcast on Instagram. I'm at not Julio. He's at Francis CC Ellis. We love you all and enjoy yourselves. If you like that video, check out our channel where we have way more videos. I just don't know how to do this. This is unbelievable. If you like that video, we have way more videos on our channel. Please like and subscribe. Turn on notifications if you want to know when there are new ones. But if not, check them out, and we appreciate it.
Oops.